It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show for December 26th. Is this, you have Christmas Eve? Is this Christmas past? Or is that one of the ghosts or something like that in the Scrooge thing?
According to young children who I spoke to recently, Brad, there's 364 days till the next Christmas. Maybe that's what we call it, 364 day.
364. That is John Combest, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. Put a John in front of it, put a .com on the end, and you have johncombest.com. Every day, every single morning, he wakes up early and does this all for you. Hold on, I got a cough. I think I got that cough someplace in Alabama. Anyway, every single day he wakes up early and puts together this list of all the important stuff you need to know. It's on his website. It's like a Drudge Report, but the state of Missouri, and you can go there and you can find dozens of stories. But what we do is we start the morning off with this guy.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what he does is he counts them down. Right, Casey?
Now on with the countdown.
And we start off with?
In third place.
Brad, I hate to start with a feel-bad story, but I think we should, considering it was all over the news here in St. Louis earlier this week. On Sunday evening, a little bit after dark, some folks were shopping for Christmas trees at Ted Drew's Christmas lot, and a car crashed past a metal barrier and injured some of the folks who were shopping. Now you say, John, that sounds like a typical St. Louis traffic accident. Well, the Post-Dispatch and others reported on it. But then, Brad, one of your favorite on-the-scene, up-and-coming journalists, a guy named Jason Rivera, dug into it. It turns out that the gentleman who crashed into a bunch of St. Louisans and injured them is a 19-year-old Iraqi national. Now, the Post-Dispatch and others reported that the gentleman was 19 and that his name was Rasool Al Janabi. But they didn't report the fact that he was an Iraqi national. And I don't know if you've seen this, Brad, but Mr. Rivera has also posted some curious videos from social media. Have you seen any of this?
I have not, because partly before, let me give me my mea culpa here, is I've been out of town until last night. So go ahead and give me the scoop on this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and welcome back, by the way, Brad. So, yeah, Mr. Al Janabi had chosen, I guess, earlier in the year, Brad, to post a bunch of videos of he and his friends allegedly driving quite dangerously, doing a little bit of drafting, weaving in and out of other cars. And Mr. Al Janabi appears to have also posted videos publicly to social media of himself with some handguns. That's a pretty good idea, don't you think, Brad?
And he's 19?
Yeah. So Jason Rivera's point, he said, Jason Rivera, again, you can find Jason Rivera's work at luleaks.com, or you can follow him at Jason Rivera STL on x.com. But Mr. Rivera says, there's a lot of questions that this raises. Like, there was another, in some of the videos, there was an Egyptian national named Assam El-Toum in the car. And Jason Rivera wonders if this guy was there too. Jason Rivera wonders if this Al Janabi had some of the handguns that Al Janabi had been flashing, in previous videos. Now, Brad, maybe if you are driving recklessly and you crash into a bunch of people, you get the heck out of Dodge, and then you get rid of, I don't know, if I had a firearm in the car, I would stash it somewhere, and then maybe come back and face the music. You know what I'm saying? And apparently that's what happened, by the way, I should point out, is that according to Mr. Al Janabi, after he lost control of his car, he was surrounded by people, and he got scared. Brad, he's only 19. He got scared, threw it in reverse, injured another person, and then left. And a family member accompanied him. Mr. Al Janabi came back, and of course everything was fine then. He just got booked, and he's out, of course. Like, why would you hold him for that? But anyway, Brad, I don't know. And if I was traveling with an illegal handgun, I would probably ditch it before I came back to talk to law enforcement. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I heard, and maybe there's more of this the story. You don't have this, or you do haven't mentioned it. But I heard on another station this morning that the person, when he backed up, was a police officer, an off-duty police officer.
That's correct. Yeah, he ran into a cop, which is always a good idea, right?
Well, now here's the question. Is he a legal immigrant, or is he an illegal immigrant? Is he got a green card, whatever, or it's temporary status? Does anybody know that yet?
That's a great question. I presume we'll never know from local news reporters, but we will probably find out from Jason Rivera, who's an independent journalist. I wouldn't expect that local media, Brad, would ask hard questions like, is this person here illegally?
I'm looking at his site right now. I'm on LuLeaks, and the only thing I see, the last thing on here is December 15th. The destructive.
Yeah, I would suggest to go to Jason Rivera STL on which, Brad, you know, and you and I've discussed this before. Instead of going to a website first, maybe try social media. So go to Jason Rivera STL on X.com and you'll find all the posts.
John, you and I are the exact opposite because
I know. And who ended up with the information? The person that goes to social first?
No,
the person who goes to a website first?
Here's my problem. My problem is that this is personal preference. Okay. I'm not a big fan of the social media sites because of the fact, and perfect example is the Joe Rogan Donald Trump interview that they did they put it up on YouTube, and you couldn't find it on YouTube because they hid it on purpose. Okay, when you own your own piece of the real estate, of the internet real estate, which is a domain name, nobody can essentially type into their computer and change the algorithm, and all of a sudden you disappear. So that's my preference. And once again, when I guess what's frustrating me, I'll give it from personal example. Several times this month, someone says, "Oh, find me on Facebook," and I'm going like, "Okay, I'm searching. That's not the right guy. It's not this guy. It's not that guy. It's I'm going like, if you buy a stupid domain name for $11.09 on GoDaddy, and you put up even a stupid little basic website." It's super easy to say, go to my domain name, like, for example, bjshow.co. Bang, there it is. Or even to the
last 90 seconds will be tagged with a timestamp called, quote, stupid little websites. Maybe we'll get back to the news here, Brad. So I presume that local media will be picking up on this story as this case evolves. But once again, it shows that Jason Rivera here in St. Louis is actually on top of the stuff. I wonder if any reporters from KSDK the week of Christmas or KMOV or the Post-Dispatch thought, maybe let's look at this guy's social media posts and see if he has, I don't know, any guns on him.
Well, John,
I doubt it.
You haven't mentioned the important. I know exactly. I know exactly if I go to the NPR, the KWMU site, I know I'm going to have a complete in-depth story there, right? Isn't that the case?
No, Brad, because you're only going to find it on their TikTok. Don't you know the first place you should look is TikTok, Brad? Come on. Don't go to a stupid stlpl.org domain, Brad.
Hold it, John. The top story. Oh, you're wrong, John. The top story is a hugely important story. St. Louis
what is it?
Yeah, St. Louis area diaper bank calls for donations as demand grows with rising costs. And then the second one is St. Louis musician 18 and counting lead art residency in Missouri prison. Oh, that's a good one. Missouri State Rep Kevin Windham departs for job at Washington University. Oh,
that's a good story. That almost made the top 3. It did not make the cut, though.
Billie Long, Trump's nominee to lead IRS, touts credential. Tax experts say is dubious.
Oh, Brad, you know what? I read that one wrong. You said it's Billie Long in the IRS. I saw it as Billie Eilish has PMS. That's why I skipped it, Brad. Just kidding. I had the piece up 3 days ago.
Okay,
Brad. So anyway, let's put a bow on this, and that was our story number 3.
Okay, this site has been unfortunately many pedestrian accidents, and they've done some things down there to mitigate some of these problems. But still, what's the deal? You've been there before, right? You know where I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the last time I went to Ted Drew's was probably 15 years ago. And a dear friend of mine gave me some gift certificates for some Offspring, and I have yet to cash them in because it would require me to drive to St. Louis City. And as we know, Brad, I don't even go to Richmond Heights.
So hold on a minute. The last time you went to Ted Drew's was 15 years ago. Was that when you came back from Jefferson City? You came back from Jeff City?
I was coming back from Jeff City. I was coming back from J. Bird Nixon's inauguration, and I thought, you know what I want on a freezing January day? A little Ted Drew's.
Okay, on with number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
Brad, I have bad news for you because I know you like to go on Craigslist. You like to click on gigs, and you like to see how you can earn a few fast bucks. I know your shtick, Brad. You go on there, you pick up some radio antennas, you pick up some short-term gigs. Bad news, though, Brad. The Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation, that's a tiny little lovable division of the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. They came out Monday with proposed rules, Brad. And this is going to be bad for con men and hucksters and grifters and scammers. Because the Division of Cannabis Regulation is trying to make it harder for business people, frankly, out-of-state business people, to make it harder to find a minority Missourian to run a front company. And I should point out that this piece is brought to us. This was Christmas Eve on the 23rd in the afternoon by Rebecca Rivas of the Missouri Independent. And those rules that were posted, Brad, I'm looking through the story. I'll cut to the chase. I'm looking through the story thinking of if you're an out-of-state cannabis operator and you wanted to skirt the micro-business laws, and the micro-business laws are there to hand out contracts essentially to minorities because, minorities were treated so terribly during the war on drugs. We got to give them special carve-outs. Poor people. Anyway, these minority micro-business loans, essentially out-of-town companies were coming in and finding minorities to serve as fronts or, show people just faces. And then the company would send them what are allegedly predatory contracts. In other words, I just got to find a black or minority or woman face in the state of Missouri. I can have them run, in air quotes, the company, and then I get to keep 90% of the profits and everybody's happy. So the Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation proposal would make it essentially harder and put more stumbling blocks in front of people who want to take advantage of Missouri minorities. So if you look through the piece, Brad, it's things like, first of all, the hurdle to show what ownership is a little bit more stringent. You have to actually show that you're making decisions, that a reasonable person would think that you're in management of the company. And also, curiously, if you're one of the people that has had their license revoked because you're clearly a front company, because you're clearly scamming some of these minorities, you don't get to apply for a license again, Brad. So essentially, you're blackballed from the legal cannabis market in Missouri if you've been shown to be a fraudster. Now, to put a coda on this, if you will, the rules will be finalized. They'll be sent to the Missouri Secretary of State after January 6th. So if you're in the cannabis industry and you like these proposed regulations, you don't like them, you got about a week and a half, 2 weeks to make your thoughts known, Brad. So in other words, this is a way, and back to the Craigslist piece quickly. It turns out that back in 2023, Rebecca Rivas had a post about how this company in Michigan had been posting on Craigslist for gigs, looking for people to essentially be the front person with the asterisk of, you don't actually have to run the business. We'll just use your name and say that you're the minority owner. That's the story, Brad.
This was on Craigslist?
Yeah. You could go to the gigs section on Craigslist, and a Michigan company was recruiting folks that would just lend their name. So essentially you were in on the scam and you'd get a piece of the pie. Now, I should say alleged scam, that you were just, you got a little piece of the money and you wouldn't have to actually run the business. The Michigan company could just use your name and claim that you were actually running the business.
Well, now hold on a minute. Now, there's nobody better qualified to be a minority than me because I'm an 89-year-old Mocha Java transracial person. I mean, that's like got to be. I'm like one of one, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you are one of one, Brad. And here's the thing, because you're a bit of a square, and to quote many drug movies, you don't get high on your own supply. It's not like you're going to be going to one of these seedy, dispensaries and walking in there and trying to just gank a couple nugs. You know what I'm saying?
Just the other day I was ganking some nugs. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, I went into the Quickie Mart last night and I go, "Can I gank some nugs here?" And the guy says, "Yeah, go ahead."
Brad, some of the places where you say that you call it Quickie Mart on your route back from Florida, I think if you went in there and you asked for a quickie, I think that'd be a little something different.
John, I've got some good stories to tell. Okay, maybe in B Block, but we've got to get on to number one, right? Correct? Are we ready?
Oh, correct. Sorry, I was waiting for Casey Kasem.
No, I was trying to get your acknowledgement because I thought you maybe had more stuff
absolutely.
on that. Okay,
We're ready to go.
Here we go.
The number one.
A Christmas Eve story brought to us by Rudy Culler of the Missouri Independent. Jay Ashcroft says, excuse me, Brad. Jay Ashcroft says he won't seek office again after 8 years as Missouri Secretary of State. Jay Ashcroft says no mas. He has no intention of running for another office. And here's his punchline. I think I should be paroled after 8 years. So Jay Ashcroft stepping away from government. It's important to note, Brad, that his wife, Katie Ashcroft, will be serving as chief of staff to the incoming Lieutenant Governor, David Wassinger. So again, an Ashcroft will be at the Capitol serving the people of Missouri, but it'll be Katie Ashcroft instead of Jay. And to answer the question everybody's asking Jay, he says he's not too sure exactly what he's going to do. He says, quote, hopefully I'll find something else that I'll be able to make a difference and increase opportunity for other people to live their life to the fullest. I've had serious discussions, but nothing concrete. So we're not going to see Jay Ashcroft's name on a ballot again, Brad. That'll be the first time we haven't seen an Ashcroft on a ballot in a while, right?
Well, I know the inside scoop on this, and you don't know this part of the story. Because
I don't know. What is it?
Jay Ashcroft is going to be working with his father. His father is going to be going out to Las Vegas, and his father is going to do the next evil Knievel thing, where he's going to jump the Caesar's Palace fountains on a mini bike. And matter of fact, he's going to do it, with just a swimsuit on and no crash helmet. And Jay is going to be
Brad, just a swimsuit.
Yeah,
Padre.
Jay's going to be the pit crew for that. So that's what they're doing.
And that event is called Let the AG Soar. And you're going to have the singing senators there. I don't know how many of those old walking fossils are still alive, but you could have at least John Ashcroft sing while he's doing the dirt bike jump.
Speaking of walking fossils, have you seen this story about the woman who's the representative for the U.S. rep from Texas who hasn't been in D.C. since July? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, she's just at the Texas version of Del Mar Gardens, Brad.
She's in a rest home, and I'm going like, what is this? I mean, she hasn't voted since July. She hasn't been in D.C. since July. I'm going like, how is this possible? Isn't there? I guess this brings up this whole thing with President Biden. There's got to be some way we can say, okay, there comes a point, and maybe that point is past for me. I don't know, but there comes a point when your age takes your faculties away, and you really shouldn't be doing that job anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I think we should take that clip, Brad, and the next time you can't think of somebody's name, we just hit play and we play that clip.
John, the crazy thing about it is I have this very selective memory as I get old. I've had it all my life. For example, my very first credit card, which I got, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, 467-265-009048. Okay? When I was a police dispatcher, we had 4 transmitters we had to identify. I haven't been a police dispatcher for, 50 years? KTS 606, KRA 569, WBG 434, and KCZ 924. Those are the call letters for all our 4 transmitters. How can I remember that stuff? But yet...
I know, but you can't remember to take your Alzheimer's medication every morning. I mean, that's the paradox.
But I can remember to get on the air with you every morning, so that's good. That's good.
And sometimes you even call me an hour early, Brad.
Yeah, one morning I called John.
That's one of my favorite moments. And Brad's like, "Where are you?" And I said, "Brad, it's 5:55, and my kids are sleeping. I'm trying to keep my voice down. I'll talk to you in an hour."
Okay, we're going to take a break, and the story that I wanted to talk about on Monday, because I was gone Tuesday and Wednesday, the Justin Sparks story, is that still percolating, or is that sort of gone?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not going to go away until the vote for speaker, if there is one. Well, how's that for a teaser?
But the bizarre stuff that came out about that, because when you sent that to me, I'm going like, huh? I'm going like, and I don't know the guy that well.
I didn't send it to you, but you texted me and you said, "Hey, do you want to talk about the Justin Sparks thing?" You mentioned it on the air actually, and I said, "Yeah, we should definitely talk about it."
I thought you emailed it to me. No?
No, I don't think. Well, I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, then somebody emailed it to me because I remember seeing it in my email and I'm going like, okay, this is interesting. Anyway, we'll talk about that coming up next. And what was your name again?
My name is Shelley Barr, and I'm Brad, and she's Shelley.
We have to take a break.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?